We have an exciting show today with a bit of a twist, right, Chat GPT?
That's right, Julie. Today, we're diving into the world of AI. Our expert guest will show us how to create a custom GPT. We'll cover everything from the basics to fine-tuning your own model. Whether you're into tech or looking to bring AI into your business, you're in for some valuable tips. Let's get started on unlocking the potential of AI right here on Expert Connections.
Who couldn't use an assistant? Pretty much everyone, whether you're in business, whether you're a mom, you're a dad. But what if that assistant cost only $20 a month? That is what we're going to talk about today on the show. Even better than talking, we're going to have a demo. Welcome to Expert Connections. I'm Julie Holton. Our AI expert today is Scott Remington. Scott, welcome to the show.
Julie, it's so good to be here. So excited to show you something really cool today.
I have seen pieces of your demo before, Scott, and every time I learn something new. So I am excited to share with our viewers how we can create a custom GPT for any aspect of life, whether this is, you need an assistant at work or your assistant needs an assistant. I have an assistant, but she could use an assistant. And for those who feel like they can't delegate because it's better when they just do it themselves, what if you could do it more efficiently with Chat GPT? So, okay, Scott, what do you have to show us today?
So, this is something that I've been cooking up for a while, right? So I'm a big into personal fitness and kind of just, how do I maximize my gains, right? Gains with an S, not a Z, no bro science here. Really wanting to just, to beat some peaks and valleys. I love to go lift, and I was just finding a lot of trouble, meeting a certain, goal, right? So one day I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to try to put some of my training data into ChatGPT and see if I can't, finally beat that. And what amazed me was not only I was able to do that, but the quickness of it, the actual implementation, and the results, right? And every time I feel like I put something into ChatGPT, it gets smarter, it learns what I'm saying, and it ultimately helps get to my goals pretty quickly. So today we're going to show a personal gym assistant. But as we go through this, I want everyone to keep in mind that this can be for anything, right? Like, while I love physical fitness, I'm also a new dad, right? And so obviously with being a new dad, there's a ton of things that I don't know. So let's say I wanted to build like a super dad app, right? Or a GPT, so that I can ask it questions on when to bottle feed my newborn, right? Or how do I be a better partner? Or how do I react in certain situations, right? So think of it, custom GPTs as like your coach, and you're a personal assistant that you need to talk to in order to get something up quick and fast. So we'll go through all of this today. I'm super excited to show this off and really show people that, this technology is available for $20 a month, but it can change your life, right? Time is our most important aspect, and I'm learning that more and more as a new dad. And these GPTs can save you, hours and hours a week.
I'm excited to see, Scott. So the one you're going to show us today, because you're right, all of these different aspects you mentioned, usually we talk about business on the show, but even business folks like us have real lives. We have kids, we have goals. And so having a custom program to be able, something that we customize, especially with workouts, oftentimes I know when I'm looking up information online, say that good old fashioned Google search, it's not custom to me and what's right for my body or based on my personal growth. So I'm excited to see how you have trained your custom GPT to focus on your fitness goals.
Absolutely. And one thing I want everyone to keep in mind, right, as I talk through this, the whole purpose of this is to do this for those that aren't as technology inclined. You can either be a complete beginner, or you can be somebody that, could be joining OpenAI, being a program and whatnot, right? The whole point and the whole purpose of the GPT program is to let everyday people like you and me build these things and to help optimize our lives. So it's a great point, Julie, when you say, we're going to be showing off a personal app today, but these can be, the use cases for these GPTs can be professional as well, right? And I'll go through a couple examples as I'm talking to kind of hopefully spring some ideas for all you listeners and watchers out there, to actually show how these work and how you can implement to make yourself more productive and get some more time back.
Awesome. Okay, let's dive in.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and share this, and hopefully we can all get rocking and rolling here. So first thing I'm going to do is get our share screen up. Okay, so first thing, right, as Julie mentioned, right, we have to have our paid version of Chat GPT. It's $20 a month, and as I like to joke, it's the best $20 a month I spend. And this unlocks a lot of different things, some of which we're going to show off today, right? So think a faster interface, brand new releases, a voice feature that is pretty incredible that actually works with these apps, which is really cool. And of course, our custom GPTs, which we're going to show off right now. And as you can see, right, this is the GPT store. OpenAI, who is the creator and innovator behind a lot of the generative AI today, they're trying to create something like an Apple, the App Store or the Google Play Store, right, with these GPTs. And so you'll see some pretty big names on here. You've obviously probably heard of Adobe, Canva on there. And the goal is to, get as many people to use these GPTs to ensure that they are maximizing their productivity and innovation as possible.
These icons that we're seeing right now, will these take us to other GPTs that professionals have
Absolutely.
made or other? Awesome. So even if you don't want to start by creating your own custom GPT, if you're not quite there yet, come check out this page, which shows the featured GPTs and others that are trending.
And I'm so glad you said that. So let's do one real quick that I love to use. There is a YouTube summarizer actually that you can do. All you have to do is go to the GPT, type in the link of the GPT, and then you're good to go, right? Which is incredible. And it
So no one would
basically,
ever do that for our YouTube video
of
because they
course
want to
not,
watch
right? You
every
want to
moment.
watch
But,
everything.
for the other,
But
you may
for
not
the
want to watch.
other podcasts, absolutely, you can summarize the video, right? You can then talk to it. So it's almost like you're training ChatGPT on the YouTube summary, right? Which is incredible. So think the transcript goes in, you can start to go back and forth and, talk to the podcast, which is pretty incredible, right? So that's just kind of just a very simple use case of these GPTs. So why don't we jump back in real quick and get to the actual building itself? So I'm going to go back here and get into our main screen. We're going to create a GPT, right? And this is our kind of initial screen. So a very friendly message. Hi, I'll help build you a GPT. Say something to me like, who helps generate visuals for products and what would you like to make? So today I'm going to walk you through how I built my personal fitness GPT, just to show how simple and kind of easy and little time it takes. So we are going to build a personal fitness app. I want you to please help me, and it is very important to be kind of these things. The study did show that you get 5 to 10% better outputs with a very polite prompt, as we say. So I want you to please help me with my previous data, getting and beating plateaus, and most importantly, gaining success. Okay. All right, now it's gonna go ahead and program this in here, and it's gonna update the GPT. Literally, we're doing real-time programming, which is cool. And it comes back with the name. I suggest naming this Fitness Pro. Does that work for you? Absolutely, that's fine. We can be more creative if we want, but this will work for today's demo. Okay, great. Now I'm going to generate a photo for you. So it's going to come up with a profile picture. Again, this is going to take a few seconds here. Usually comes up with something creative. We can go ahead and change it if we want. So here's our little Fitness Pro icon, right? So this is perfect. All right, so now it's saying, great, let's refine the context for the Fitness Pro. First, let's focus on the main goals and roles, right? So it's asking us kind of what do we want this program to do for us? So the specific goals, so I usually like to go in number form, right? So one, we want to give advice to me on how to better my routines. Two, I want to increase my strength over time. Three, I want to motivate myself. to push stronger, use famous quotes to help this. This always makes a little bit fun. And 4, I want to track and be held accountable to work out harder, right? So very simple goals that we have for this app. And again, as I said earlier, right, we want to keep in mind, this can be anything we need. What if we need to create an app that can help us, maximize our time grocery shopping, right? As silly as that sounds, right? Formatting a list for us, or making sure that, if we're trying to find a new job, improving our resume, right? And having that, and we'll go through that in a little bit.
Sometimes people aren't sure what the goals should be. I don't know about you, but sometimes I get to a prompt like that and I'm like, what, like, how do I put into words what it is I'm looking to get out of it? So a good time to point out that if you're not sure, or maybe you know a couple of the goals, but you're not sure if there are additional things that maybe this custom GPT can do for you, you can even ask back, what are some goals that I could use? Or, some other prompt like that to get ChatGPT to help you to set those goals.
I love that so much. And that's so true. And how I look about my interaction with ChatGPT, right, is, I don't look at it as an AI, because that can get super confusing, right? Because then I was like, well, do I need to talk to the AI in a certain way? To me, right, these are all based on NLP, right? Natural language processing. And if I want something, out of a conversation just in general, I'm going to do my best to think, right, how I would want to hear it. So for example, right, like I will try to communicate this to a coach, right? So how would I ask a coach, right? What would my goals be, right? And if I think like that, instead of I'm talking to ChatGPT, but I'm talking to a fitness coach, I think then it gets a little bit easier to go back and forth with
Great
these
point.
prompts, right? So always thinking about kind of the persona you're talking to, instead of, oh, I'm talking to ChatGPT or I'm talking to an AI, right? Which can lead to a little bit of confusion, and sometimes just not the best prompts. So always think like you're talking to a person, even though, of course, this is an AI, right? And you're trying to think how they would like to think. And that's how I kind of go about my usage of prompts. So then moving on here, so what should be emphasized or avoided in Fitness Pros advice? So personal preference, 1, please do not sugarcoat anything. I want real advice and be blunt. 2, progress should be emphasized. How do I ensure I'm pushing hard enough? Okay. And then what should be avoided, right? I think, again, this is where I sometimes like, okay, like I'm talking to a coach, what should be avoided? Don't talk to me like a drill sergeant. I'll have to apologize. My spelling here, I'm going pretty quickly. Get these right. Okay. Boom. And now, again, it's going to keep going back and forth here. It's going to update the GPT. So in real time, you are literally programming these things in order to do what you want it to do, which is really exciting. Okay. So then, again, last question usually it asks is, how would you like it to talk to it? So again, we'll repeat it. It needs to be blunt, witty, ensuring I'm making progress, and a friendly / coaching approach. Okay, so now it's probably going to update it and it's going to say this GPT is ready to go. But there's one more key aspect to this in order for this to be personalized, right? One of the amazing things about these GPTs, you don't have to share these with the world, right? You can just use them as your own. So you can make this as personal as you want. And so I do use a fitness app, right? And I have an Excel file that just has my workout data, right? Didn't have to format it or anything. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use that data and I'm going to upload it into the GPT system. And the great thing about this is that this is personal, right? Like OpenAI doesn't train on this data, which I'll show you how to turn off. And this is just used for yourself. So now we're into the configure mode, right? So we've talked to the GPT, we've set it up. You can see here kind of the name, the description, the instructions, right? It formats it in its own type of way. right? So this GPT is designed to act as a personal fitness assistant. It helps users with their previous fitness data, overcoming plateaus and their fitness goals, right? And you're able to actually then edit the conversation starters, right? When we talk about, what prompts to use and what not to, these are great. So that's where these go. And then we have a little bit of more of our sophisticated area, which is our knowledge, right? So this is how we get it a lot more personal. So first thing we need to do we need to check our code interpreter button, because this will say that it can read Excel files, upload a Excel file. And this is my previous workout data, so it's just going to take a second, right? And now I should be able to have my GPT all set. The last thing we need to do, this is very important, is to uncheck this box. Additional settings, use conversation data in your GPT to improve our models. We do not want GPT knowing what we're talking about or others, right? So
So
we click
Scott,
that.
that is the box then that would allow ChatGPT to use your information as it continues modifying and training its models, correct?
Exactly, exactly. So when people have a big concern is OpenAI using my information, right? One of the great benefits of getting that ChatGPT, paid version is that you can turn it off. And this is the way to do it within your actual building of the GPTs itself. Okay, so now we are ready to go, and we should be able, let's just do a quick test. Can you test and see the Excel file that I uploaded? And this is where it gets interesting. Sometimes it gives us an error. Hopefully today it doesn't. So today it can see it, which is good. One note here, we can turn this off. What this is doing is it's showing how it's thinking in real time via Python. So if I want to turn that off, so I don't want to see it, I can. Um, but what it's showing basically is, okay, here's the first 5 rows, so I can get an understanding of what's actually in this Excel file. Don't get me wrong, you can, query on any of the data in here, but this is just so you can see that. And what's really cool, and we'll do this over here in the Fitness Pro area, is that would you like to perform any specific analysis or visualization of the data? And this is a brand new feature to the ChatGPT 4.0 Omni model, where you can actually, use charts. You're going to be able to edit the actual Excel file within the GPT chat, which is going to be really cool. And they keep releasing new updates, honestly, weekly, which is really cool to play with. So all that being said, we just built that app, right? It took us about what, 5-10 minutes, and we're good to go. So let's see this in action now. So there's a couple things we need to do. First, we need to create this GPT, right? We want to only me can see this. Just so you know, if you wanted to publish to the GPT store, that's how you do it.
So
And
if
click
you
save.
had a fitness group, say, or if you and your wife worked out together or wanted to share the data, you could share it with someone who only has the link. Or if you wanted to, you could make it public. If you were going to become a fitness pro and be coaching people and have a custom GPT that you shared, or if you just wanted other people to be able to use something, although this would be based on your data, not theirs, you would have those options.
So yeah, so the main thing about, publishing GPTs, it's really cool. As I mentioned, you can do the only me, you can share a link, or you can send it, publicly out to the world. I'll actually show later how, one of the GPT store launches that I want to do. It's called Superhero Dad, and we'll have a quick play with that. So as Julie, you were mentioning, right, like it can be your own personal data, but let's say it is kind of a family, right? And you have a family Excel file, right? As long as you update the rows correctly, rows and columns correctly, it should know, and you should be able to talk to that file. So with all that being said, why don't we go ahead and actually try this now? So again, we're going to click on update. So the GPT is live, and we're going to go back into the fitness, or we're going to go back into the GPT and view it. So now it's going to take us off of the main screen. As you can see, this is the actual app we just created. So back to Julie's kind of question. It's like, okay, so I have this GPT now. What do I want to ask it, right? Like, and this is where a lot of people get stuck. Well, for me, I kind of start, thinking, all right, so I had this workout today. What do I want to do tomorrow, right? So I want to come up with a workout tomorrow. Today is June 3rd. please make a workout based upon my last 3 weeks of data starting on June 3rd, 2024. So, and this is so that I can recognize in the Excel file what's happening. Let's do a leg workout and let's just see what happens. Okay. And this is going to take a second because it is going to have to query the document, right? So we're back into kind of the show all details. Again, if we didn't want to have this, we will. We could just, take this away. Again, it's going to go through and it's going to go through all the different exercises that are in my optimized version of this. So this is going to take a second to do. Sometimes it takes a few. And what's really sweet is you can see, right, as I mentioned, Julie, right, these are the rows in there. So it shows my logs. So this was the date, right, May 15th, 2024. You can see what I did, 225 times 12 times 12. It'll be able to show the barbell squat. So the world now knows how much I can squat here. And from here now, it's going to tell us what our actual workout plan should be, right? And I know that came up really quickly, but I want you just to understand what just happened, right? We just created a customizable workout plan based upon the data that was in that Excel spreadsheet, right? Very simple data, having the data worked out, the number of reps and sets I did, and the actual exercise, right? And now since we have that data, it's going to optimize workouts based upon my ability to lift a certain amount of weight, right? How cool is that? So this is something I probably would do, right? These are the weights that I probably would start up and warm up with, right? We have a warm up set. We have our, set one getting, potentially heavier, and then a drop set, right? More advanced workouts. This is really cool. Okay. And then again, it gives us our tips, right? Focus on maintaining good form throughout, warm up before. And then of course, remember we asked for that motivational quote, right? Success usually comes to those who are too busy to be looking for it. So again, unbelievable amount of data and personalized data that we can do with just a few clicks, right? So if we want to push this even further, right? And we want to say, okay, this is great. Please analyze my data for legs on the last 3 weeks, like you did above, and tell me where I can improve.
All right, now you told your custom GPT to be blunt, so let's see what it's going to say, Scott.
Absolutely. Give it to me. I will, like to hear no sugarcoating. Let's hear it. And this is great, right? So here's the analysis, right? So this is where, sometimes it can get a little funny, right? I think it's really interesting. So it says I have a total volume of, 25,000 pounds, right? Is that honestly actually helpful within this exercise? No, of course not, right? It's nice that I know that's how much I lifted in 3 weeks, but that's not what we want to know, right? We want to know based upon, per exercise. So this is where, what we call prompt engineering takes place. And we want to tell it that, right? Progress over time. Does this make sense? Make sense? Ask me any questions in order for you to get the right output. Okay. And so it's going to take a second.
Just like if you were really working with an assistant, right? Like you mentioned
Absolutely.
earlier, talk to it like it's a person.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes our assistants don't always get things right on the first try.
Absolutely. And so as a good assistant would, it comes back with good questions, right? So what are we trying to analyze here, right? So it's asking, do you want the analysis to include both weight and rep progress over time? We sure do. Are there specific leg exercises you want to focus on, or should we consider all leg related exercises from your data? Is there a particular format or visualization for tracking progress, right? So, one thing I really want to point out here is that when we're talking about prompting, and talking to the AIs, talking to the personas we mentioned earlier, asking it questions is the most powerful type of prompting, right? And the reason that is that we might not have everything we need within our initial prompt. But if we can ask it, say, are you understanding what I'm trying to get out of this? Or can you ask me any questions that you need to get the data out of your system that I need, and actually have a conversation, not just a one-way, but a two-way, you're going to get what you want out of this. So from what we're going to see here is that we're actually going to be able to get this analysis. We're going to see it in a particular format, right? And we're going to have some fun with this. So the first thing is, do we want the analysis to include both weight and reps progress over time? Absolutely. 2, are there any specific leg exercises you want to focus on? So the ones you consider that will help be most helpful to me and the progress I'm looking for. Again, talking to it like a coach. And is there a particular format or visualization, charts or tables? Let's do both a chart and a table. And let's see what we come back with, right? And that is, the response that I had, didn't take long. I don't need to be overly complicated. I'm literally just talking to it, as Julia mentioned, as an assistant, right? And again, this is kind of that back end. We don't need to have this. And it's going to show us, right? My progress data on specifically squats over time, right? So you can see, right, on May 15th, this is what I did. And then on May 21st, what I did, right? And so on and so forth. And so what we should have now is the data we need to ensure and see, what we want. So it's showing us May 15, right? What's really crazy now with this, they have a beta app where we can actually play around with this. Again, this is a new feature. I have
I was
not
gonna
seen
say,
this
look
one
at these
before.
charts, Scott. I haven't, I've seen you showing these charts, but I have not
Yeah,
seen them personally. So this is going
yep.
to be fun to dive into.
This is
Are
going to
these
be
charts?
fun.
It looks like there's a download button, so you could even um,
Absolutely.
download them. Wow,
Yep.
that makes report. For my marketing agency, for instance, report gathering and
Yep.
production. It's a
Hmm.
whole new world.
Whole new world, right? And again, we see in these charts, right? So again, we have to sometimes engineer, right? This is only showing the data for May 15th, right? So I would go back and say, okay, like, please show me, more than one day. And sometimes, you will get an error, right now it says there's an error generating the response, right? So maybe something's wrong in the prompt. Again, like, that's okay. Like, we can, go ahead and try this. So I'm gonna pause that real quick. And I'm gonna say, for the above, be sure to show multiple weeks within the requests that I made, please. So the last 3 months would be ideal. Remember, the current date is June 3rd, 2024. And you don't always have to do that, but I find it helpful. And now it should go ahead and give us an actual chart with the progress we made. So, that last chart we saw only had, one day's day in it, right? And obviously we want to have more data than that. So again, it's going to take a second. And this is, really complicated stuff it's doing right in the back end. And I think there we go, right? So now we're starting to see, right, 412, 422, different squat levels, right? And the different weights, the number of reps. So I'm really excited to see kind of what this output now gives us. And again, the second one is, I'm guessing this is the going through and doing kind of our interactive chart, right? Let's look at this. So this is showing, right, our kind of increased progress over time, 155 pounds going up over time. And these are the amounts of, I believe, reps per the associated weight, which is really interesting. And so in this one, right, it does say the interactive charts are not supported yet. So again, like, I think a lot of these features, they're talking over time. And again, this is another chart, showing our progress over time, right? Starting in March, right? Going up to May, right? So we've made some decent progress on the squats. Love to see that. And then dumbbell walking lunge, which is my nemesis. I do not enjoy doing those. So you can see probably not a lot of progress there, which, again, motivates me to focus on that, to work harder. Again, as you can see, right, on a lot of these charts, right, really cool data that we can have and see that really helps us kind of get to where we want to go. Right. So that's just kind of the visual aspect of it. But, let's say, the charts are still in beta, testing. Let's look at the actual analysis, right? So it can give us a good analysis of what we're doing, and get really good personalized data, right? So a lot of these apps you see in the App Store, like it will tell you kind of like your progress and whatnot, but it doesn't give you as personalized data, and really ask it back and forth. Okay, so let's just example, I'm at 275. How would I go about increasing that? And so here, all I would have to do is, type this reply button and then type it in. How do I increase my, weight? What's the strategy for that? Right. So really what you're seeing is that you're getting this personalized lifting coach, personal trainer, right, for $20 a month. And we all know how much those can be, right? So again, very cool, use cases for these, right? And then recommendations for improvement, right? We got a nice blunt way, okay? So aim to maintain a consistent rep range while gradually increasing the weight. Easier said than done. Um, and exercises with less progress, right? So again, I think I actually mentioned this to you, Julie, right? That I've only done the hex deadlift once and it noticed it, really cool. And then obviously talking about our technique refinement, right? And then it describes what the actual chart does, right? The chart illustrates your progress for each exercise, showing trends and reps over the last 3 months. Um, and then obviously a nice progress message, keep pushing hard and stay consistent. Your progress is evident, and refining these areas will help you achieve even greater results, right? So very cool. And ironically, Julie, right, a couple of the questions I came up with earlier to ask you, if I'm not mistaken, I just said, how do I increase my squat weight? Well, it gave me that prompt to ask, right? How cool is that, as a next step to talk to? Or let's say, because earlier it was like, oh, in this Excel file, maybe I'm not doing an exercise that I should be. Can you recommend new leg exercises? So why don't we just go ahead and click this and see what happens? I have no idea what it's going to come up with, but let's try.
Yeah,
And
Scott,
it,
unlike when doing a simple Google search or reading a blog online, you can actually continue the conversation. So it gave you some ideas, but then you can dig deeper, you can ask further, or you can take it in a different direction.
Yes, absolutely. One of the things that I find so fascinating, and I think OpenAI and a lot of the LLMs, large language model providers, are understanding, is that when they came out of the gate, right, they had a ton of growth, but over the last couple months, uses have been steady, right? You don't have a lot of new users, and I personally believe that the reason for this is that people don't know how to talk to a chatbot, or honestly don't like the user interface. And so what they're trying to do, is to make it easier for everyday people to understand and to talk to these things, right? And this is a new feature, right? This is something that has just come out because I think they understand that, in order for people to, keep using this and to keep understanding and to not think they're talking to a chatbot, there needs to be responses. It has to be a two-way conversation. It can't just be, I'm going to ask for something, you give me something, and we're done, right? You have to keep the conversation going. And I think it's a really important point to make. So again, it gives us some compounding exercises, right? Some things that I don't do. So again, something that I could now incorporate into my workouts, which is really, really nice to see. Um, and then again, can you create me a 6-week leg workout plan? Wow, that's pretty impressive, right? I mean, we're really getting into, kind of what we want the uses for this are.
Okay, Scott. So question here. So you've created this custom GPT that is going to help you continue to analyze your data and to adjust your workout. So kind of taking a step back now, what do you do with the data? Let's say tomorrow, when you do tomorrow's workout, are you going back into your Excel spreadsheet? Are you re-uploading the information? Or does the memory feature help if you were to enter it directly into Chat GPT by hand? How do you take this kind of like, this is day one, let's say we have this GPT. How do we then continue to use it day after day after day?
That's such a good question. And I think the short answer is that I would go into my fitness app that I use right now, and I would probably export the data out into an Excel spreadsheet and re-upload it, right? If I wanted to do that immediately. Let's say I want to go back in and update this GPT, right? And what's really cool is that in the 4.0 Omni model is they're actually implementing memory. So things that you are putting in, it will remember the data, right? Now, in the custom GPTs, they're still kind of implementing that feature. So it's not in there yet, but it will be. So eventually, as you talk to it more, it's going to learn from you and it's going to, remember the type of exercises you were doing. So, the short answer again is that you'd have to upload the Excel file again. I'd go into my app, I would press export, and then I would literally just upload it like I showed you all, and then it'd be good to go. But in the future, GPT is going to remember it, and that'll be the best way to kind of not have to keep going back and forth.
Awesome, Scott. I love this. And I'm sure all of the fitness buffs out there are loving this and ready to start creating their own custom GPT. As you mentioned, though, this process can be replicated for pretty much anything, whether it's creating content for your business, whether it's working on generating reports for your kind of back office accounting. Other examples, we created a custom GPT in our house to help us figure out what movie to watch during family movie night, to take all of these different favorite types of movies and movies that some people dislike and find the right consensus. And so there are so many different ways that custom GPTs can be used to make your life easier.
Absolutely. And so I gotta, what's it called? I gotta sign off here, Julie, with a little surprise, obviously, and we're
Okay.
gonna do this real quickly. So what's awesome is that every GPT that you make has a voice version, right? So you can actually talk to these GPTs and help them let you go back and forth the conversation. So hopefully this works, and we're gonna try this out real quick, live demo. Hey, GPT. I've been doing a live demo with my friend Julie. We've been showing off your skills and whatnot. Can you recap again what you do and then thank everyone for sticking with us here?
Absolutely. Hey everyone, I'm Chat GPT, your personal fitness assistant. I'm here to help you achieve your fitness goals, track your progress, and push you to work harder. Whether you're looking to improve your workout routines, increase your strength, or just need some motivation to stay on track, I've got you covered. You can use this app to get personalized fitness plans, advice on exercises, and practical tips to overcome plateaus. I'll also hold you accountable, making sure you stay consistent with your workouts and keep pushing yourself. Remember, progress comes from challenging yourself and staying dedicated. Let's get to work and make those fitness goals a reality.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
That is awesome, Scott. That is so cool. And just like you said, it sounds like you're talking to a friend. So makes it probably a little easier to talk to your GPT as if it's a person. That is so cool. And Scott, this has been such a helpful demo. I'm so excited to connect people to you if they have further questions, if they want assistance. Scott does a lot of consulting work in the AI world. Scott, thanks so much for being on the show today. We will connect to all of your contact information in the show notes. So thanks for being on the show.
Thanks so much, Julie. It was a pleasure being here.
We will definitely have you back. Lots I know that you can share with our audience. For now, that is all for this episode of Expert Connections. Be sure to check out other demos and conversations over in our AI playlist. We'll see you next time.